has done something absolutely genius here. He's resting his main players whilst giving the other players, that wouldn't normally get the start, some good and well-deserved game time, right? And at the end of the day, they won 4-0. I am not even sure if the main 11 would have won 4-0 against them, or maybe the same score, maybe a little bit more. But we cannot stress enough that this is a B team that they played against Chelsea, and the B team still won 4-0. That's amazing, the budget that Pep has at Ulster TFC right now. So honestly, we just have to enjoy football from the greatest manager of our generation.
Yeah, it's a good team that Pepper's built. He's got a left back, doesn't play. I'm gonna buy a left back in the January or summer window. Look at Theo. I think it's Theo. It's not Lucas. I don't remember which one it is. Whichever one is the left back, the actual left back that plays. He's the one that City are looking for.
Both of them are left backs though.
Yeah, the one that's playing, not the injured one. That's the one. Then it's Lucas and Zulu.
The one that's playing. Lulu is injured, I believe.
Okay, so he wants to buy Theo. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter, they're twins. Talk about, let's see, Sunderland are through. We already spoke about Wrexham, how good they're doing. West Ham knocking Brentford out 1-0. Moyes is in a bit of bother. Does this save him? Because every time West Ham seem to sack him, they get in a relegation fight. So does it make sense to get rid of him?
This doesn't necessarily save him, because you have to look at it. West Ham, what did West Ham achieve last season? West Ham went all the way to the UEFA, was it Europa League semi-finals, losing to the eventual winners Eintracht Frankfurt from Germany.
Mm-hmm.
They went from that to this, celebrated a 1-0 win over Brentford. I don't think this saves him. Maybe it postpones the inevitable, but I think at the end of the day, he probably still is going to get the boot, because it's just the Carabao Cup. It's not like it's in the Premier League where you need those 3 points. It's the Carabao Cup. More or less, you guys are not getting past the next round anyways. You get me? And if that's the case, then we all know what happens at the end of the day. The hammer falls. But this does not save Moyes. Because the board will be looking about the success that they had last year and the expectations that they laid out in front of him this year, and they'll be honestly upset with what has been happening so far.
Yeah, they will. I don't think they're really happy with him, but there are going to be fans and there are going to be others inside the club who are going to say, hey, give him time. Last time he was here, I mean, they went from Conference League to Europa League. They were showing improvement, and it's the same team. So the issue, we don't know what that issue could be. Onto a different end of the spectrum, but an 18-year-old had to rescue Leeds today, Sonny Perkins, from certain elimination. Leeds held up. I literally cannot remember who they were playing. I genuinely cannot remember. It was an enticing game, and I was watching it up until I thought Leeds lost, and then Sonny Perkins decided to score, and it just made me feel like I shouldn't have gotten off the game yet. I mean, Villa lost to Stevenage today. That's how bad this was. Cardiff City, yes, it was Cardiff who they were playing, 10-man Cardiff. And they got rescued by 18-year-old Perkins. So, Leeds in a spot about that if they don't, shape up, because they just got an extra game for nothing. And the last thing before, I turn over. But this was big news today, last night started. Harry Maguire, apparently he was in Birmingham last night, probably having a drink, having a night out, whatever. He's been linked saying he was advanced with Aston Villa for a move. Now that was utter bullshit, because there's no way that would happen yet. I know Emery likes the player, but it was still utter bullshit. But he could still move. It's not out of the question, and it's not out of the question that Villa want him. Maguire to Villa. A few years ago they wanted him to partner with Tyrone Mings. He went to United. Now that he's out of favour, do you think this deal could actually make sense or move through at all?
Actually, yes, I do think so. Ten Hag, according to our source JOAO, Ten Hag seemingly is okay to let the player go, and the Villa board are keen to sign the player as he is one of England's number one centre backs. I personally could see it happening. He's not going to play for United anytime soon, barring an injury to either Lisandro Martinez or Rafael Varane. But at the same time, I could say he's not going because Rafael Varane loves to get injured at this point in his career. So we'll have to wait and see. Honestly speaking, this deal makes no sense, but it's one of the most realistic deals that I can think of happening this summer, to be completely honest with you. It just seems right for some reason to me.
Yeah, I mean, Maguire in a park the bus system, I mean, you have to sign him up for that. He lives for things like that. But, you know, Savage Slaughterhouse soon. Gonna take a quick break and come right back. But you guys do know, follow us, GZ_sports22 on Twitter, GZ Sports Official on Instagram and on YouTube to catch this recording. Oh, may I say, because you're not gonna ever see us. I'm kidding. We will make an appearance on camera, but just not yet. But we will.
Yeah.
We will. We'll be right back.
Like and subscribe some more. Big Jackson, Brian, and Randy Savage. Me talk about GZ Sports. Tune in for the offline tour. Like and subscribe some more. Big Jackson, Brian, and Randy Savage. Me talk about GZ Sports.
Welcome again, guys, to the Savage Slaughterhouse with your boy Randy Savage and your co-host Jackson Bryan. And today we have a little bit of a treat for you. JOAO Miguel. You can find him on Twitter at JOAO_Miguel TS, I believe.
JOAO.
Partnered with him.
JOAO Miguel_TS. You got underscore.
Yes. Yes, I'm pretty sure that's what I said, right?
No, you got dyslexia in your speech, but continue.
Alright, fair enough. But yes, he is our transfer correspondent, talking and bringing us the latest in transfer news. And we have a few questions that were asked to him, and he is answering them based on some popular players and such. So the first player that we'll be discussing today is a certain Portuguese starlet by the name of Rafael Leao. JOAO says AC Milan have offered him a new deal. He'll be patient as Chelsea are looking into him again, but Milan are confident he'll stay. Jackson, what do you make of this deal, especially considering that Chelsea are in no position to be thinking about European football at this point, and JOAO and Rafael wants European football? What do you think? Do you see this deal going through? Do you see it faltering? What do you make of this?
Well, this was one of the few questions that were actually asked by some of the listeners. Rafa, he was always linked with a move to Chelsea ever since everyone found out that he had 12 months left on his deal. It was just Chelsea. But Rafa Leao doesn't seem like he wants to move to England, wants to move to Stamford Bridge or anything like that. He looks like he wants to stay in Milan. They've had the offer. I think it was about 6 or 7 million euros per season to have him extended. I don't see why he'd move. I mean, Real Madrid were after him, but that interest has gone down like very, very quickly. Rafa is Portugal's best left-sided forward. That's what I can say. He is Portugal's best left-sided forward, and a move to the Premier League wouldn't be off the cards, but I don't think he's going to be moving anytime soon. So I think he will stay in Milan.
Alright, that's pretty fair. I have the same sentiments as you. Another player that it's very interesting, and he is one of the hottest targets for a lot of clubs this summer and this January, to be honest. But it's Mudryk. We all know Mudryk. Arsenal and Chelsea both pushing as of now, but the player prefers Arsenal after Mikel Arteta spoke to him in the summer. They will have to pay a fee of 8 to 85 million for him in January. Do you think that fee is justified? Because personally speaking, right, I can't see myself forking out anything over 45 million for Mudryk. It's just not worth it at this point.
Listen, Arsenal have already offered about, I think they've offered around 60 million for him, we including add-ons, that is. And Shakhtar have said no. Shakhtar said they want 100 million euros, which is the equivalent of 85 million pounds for Mudryk. It's been a lot of recycled news. That some people I know who asked for that and said recycled news. Mudryk wants Arsenal. He wants nothing else. He doesn't care if Arsenal offer 20 million for him or gives him £2 a week. He wants Arsenal. He is in love with the club. Arsenal know what the price is. That means he would have to be more than what they paid for Pepe. We know how that turned out, and they're a bit shy with the money now, especially with the way that ended. Chelsea are looking to hijack it purely because they've lost out on Enzo. They've lost out on Raphael. They're not in good form. They can't convince anyone to come join them. And it seems they've even lost out on Joao Felix. So they're trying to hijack it. They're willing to match or go above any offer that Arsenal does. Shakhtar know this. But the player and his agents have no intention of negotiating with any club that isn't run by Mikel Arteta.
Fair enough. When a player has his sights set on a club, it's not all about the money, and in this case, we can clearly see that it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
From Mudryk, though, and from one prospect to another, Dele Alli, Besiktas want him to leave, but Everton don't want him either. I think his career is just wasted at this point in time. It's very sad to see, but it is what you make of the player.
Yeah, Dele Alli, I remember when I'm not going to say I don't remember, but I do remember in 2016 when he was arguably one of the best up-and-coming talents in all of world football. Spurs signed him from, I think it was Milton Keynes Dons, and from a young deer in the headlights to one of the best attacking midfielders in the Premier League in a matter of months. He was brilliant. Then came, Jose came in. Jose unlocked that potential again in his first season. Then Dele Alli just did not look like Dele Alli after a few games. He's been sluggish. He's been poor finisher. His passing's been awful. He went to Everton to try and reignite his career. He played a good part in their game that kept them up against Crystal Palace. He played a great part in that game coming off the bench. But then, he just faltered again. He was loaned out to Besiktas. They played him a couple of times. They took him off at half time. They started him, took him off in 28 minutes. They just don't see the point of having a Dele Alli in their team anymore. Everton don't see the point of having Dele Alli either. I mean, look at their midfield. They've got Ghana. Ghana is injured. He'll be back soon. They got Iwobi, who's technically he's out for the next 3 weeks with a cruciate ligament damage. And they got Onana. So they've gotten a good midfield. They don't need Dele Alli. It's going to be a struggle to find out where Dele Alli will go, though. It's going to be a real struggle. But it's horrible.
It is very sad, in my opinion, because Dele Alli, he had better stats at this point in career than the likes of Phil Foden, like Jadon Sancho, Marcus Rashford. But then it just all went wrong. I personally think the issue with Dele is not the fact that he's lost his touch, not the fact that he's lost his form. I think it's that he lost the love of the sport. I think he's no longer in love with the sport. And I think that's what's making him no longer have the drive, the will to get to the goal.
He needs to cut his freaking hair. It all went downhill when he got locks. He needs to cut his freaking hair.
Well, yeah, that's true, but he wanted to be Rude Hully, we can't blame him. He wanted to be a brilliant player. But I think he just lost the love. I think he just fell out of love with the game. And we see it with Hitoshi Nakata, the Japanese international, arguably the best Asian player of all time back in the day.